Let's have a look at how ozone protects us from harmful ultraviolet radiation from the sun. The ozone absorbs or blocks the ultraviolet radiation from the sun and stops it getting to the surface of the Earth. But where does ozone come from? Let's have a look at the formation of ozone. Ozone is formed in the upper atmosphere, and it's formed when oxygen molecules are split into two oxygen atoms. That dot shows that they're radicals, which mean they have unpaired electrons, and they're very reactive. And if we take one of those oxygen radicals and react it with an O2 molecule, we'll form a molecule of ozone, O3. Now, ozone has a role in absorbing the ultraviolet radiation from the sun. So let's have a look at what happens when ozone absorbs that ultraviolet radiation. We take a molecule of ozone, and it splits back up into a molecule of O2 plus an oxygen radical. And these processes are in equilibrium, so we have a steady amount of ozone which steadily absorbs ultraviolet radiation from the sun. The problem is that chlorofluorocarbons, or CFCs, destroy the ozone. A CFC, or chlorofluorocarbon, is a compound that contains carbon, fluorine, and chlorine, like dichloro-difluoromethane. And when ultraviolet radiation hits that molecule, it causes the carbon-chlorine bonds to split up, and that forms a difluorochloromethyl radical. It's a bit of a mouthful. And a chlorine radical, a chlorine atom with an unpaired electron. And that chlorine radical is the thing that destroys the ozone. So let's have a look at how that happens. If we take a chlorine radical and react it with an ozone molecule, it produces a ClO radical plus an O2 molecule. And that ClO radical itself is reactive, and if that bumps into another molecule of ozone, it'll form two O2 molecules and a chlorine radical. And notice that chlorine radical is required at the beginning of the equation, and it's produced at the end of the equations. That means it acts as a catalyst for the destruction of ozone, and the chlorine atoms, or the chlorine radicals, can continue to destroy more ozone molecules. So overall, have a look at the process. We put two O3 molecules in, two ozone molecules, and we get three O2 molecules out. So overall, ozone is being removed from the ozone layer by these chlorine radicals. Why is this a problem? Because if we remove the O3, the ultraviolet radiation from the sun can't be absorbed by the ozone, so it gets right through to the Earth, which is bad news for us.